Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Dvaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Chutapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaisnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Sahagana Raghunathamritam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanispari Visabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Today is most auspicious day, being the day before Rath Yatra Day, tomorrow. And they're doing it in Puri also. Even though for public it is not open, and they also not allowing people to go on top of the roof to watch. It's part of the government protocol to avoid social distancing is not, cannot make it also there. So last year they were given a chance, or they were trying to stop the government, the Rath Yatra. But then the authorities says that, well, if you don't allow us to do Rath Yatra, then there'll be no Rath Yatra for the next 9 years or so. So just why the government let it go. Actually it was stopped, but then they appealed. So this Rath Yatra has been going on for thousands and thousands of years, starting from even when the King Indrajumna, yes, King Indrajumna, he gave an instruction to look for Nilamadab, but somehow Nilamadab left without notice to intensify the separation between the devotee, King Indradyumna, and Nilamadab. And therefore, he commissioned the architect of the demigods, Vishvakarma, to have the deities of Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra to have the darshan. But somehow, there was one condition, that you should not disturb me while I'm doing my work. And all they can hear is ching, 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 ching of the chisel to the wood, to the neem wood. And the wife, Gundica, as the wife of King Indradyumna, she became impatient now. We've never heard for some time now the work. So must be something is wrong now. Why is it there is no ching, 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 ching? So they barge open the door where the room, the deities are being constructed or being made. And they did not find Vishvakarma. All they found now are the deities, seemingly unfinished work of Lord Jagannath, none other than Lord Krishna, and Lord Balaram, Baladev, and Subhadra. So, yes, 500 years ago, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made it more famous, the Ratha Yatra, because the Lord himself, in the mood of his devotee, in the mood of Srimati Radharani, he exemplified the highest intense love of separation between the Lord and the devotee. So they have many, many festivals during the year about Lord Jagannath. And 500 years ago, this Gundica Marjanam was first celebrated or performed by the Supreme Lord along with his eternal associates in Puri. It's quite a distance because the temple itself of Jagannath Puri represents Dwarka or Kurukshetra. And there is this Gundica Mandir, which is quite the distance. How many kilometers? 5 kilometers. Usually 1 kilometer, if you walk, it takes 11 minutes if you are a good walker. So how long does it take from the Jagannath temple to Gundica Mandir? How many hours? 55 minutes? Oh, that's fast. That's more faster than I can think of. So the Gundica represents Vrindavan. So this is the mood. And the same mood was expressed by the Brajavasis when they met Lord Krishna in Kurukshetra, when they wanted to bring back to the rural environment of Braj, Lord Krishna. So for 8 days, the Lord will stay in the Gundica Mandir. Marjanam. Marjanam means cleansing. So Gundica Marjanam means cleansing of the Gundica Mandir, because for 1 year, after 8 days, when the Lord will return to Jagannath Puri temple, the Mandir, the Gundica Mandir, will be vacant and it will be not of use for 1 year. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he asked the authorities of the temple, he asked permission if he could, along with his associates, to clean the Mandir, Gundica, Because you can just imagine, even in Vrindavan, if you don't clean your room for 1 week, there'll be piles and piles of, especially I stayed in Goshala also before, and so much dust. So you have to clean practically every day so as it will not accumulate more and more. So this time, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he asked permission from the authorities if he could clean, and the authorities gave the one who's in charge of the Gundica Mandir to provide everything that the Lord may need for cleaning the temple. And so the one in charge of the Gundica Mandir, he provided 100 brooms and 100 buckets. Now these buckets are not like our balte, made of metal. It's made of clay. Miti. And they have to take the water from Indra Sarovar, which is around 10 minutes away from Gundica Mandir. So here, the many lessons that we can learn, because one of the names of Supreme Lord, or one of his qualities, is Saragraha or Saragrahi. Saragrahi means it's not just he sees what you do, but he sees more what is your intention, what is your purpose, and why you're doing what you are doing. In bhakti, it is like that. It is more internal than external. Of course, Prabhupada says that you can tell a devotee by his service attitude, the way he performed bhakti, and also, but Krishna sees more what is inside of us. And Maharaj Prataparudra, who is the king of Orissa, he is the first one who will sweep the road before the Ratha Yatra starts. So he put himself just like a Bangi. Just like in India, Bangi is considered as untouchables. It's like if you go to Loy Bazaar, there is a certain place, the Bangi colony over there. Some of our workers also live over there. But they're nice devotees, down to earth. So King Prataparudra, he will put himself in a position whereby he's like an ordinary person. He will sweep the floor or the road. He is the same personality when he is on a golden throne. There is no difference. We should be also the same person privately, publicly, and personally. There should be no duplicitous. Because the whole Gundica Marjanam pastimes is about cleansing our heart. Now, this is not the same heart that we have like pumping blood. This heart also of every individual souls, every jivas, is also compared synonymous to the mind. If your mind is clean, your heart is clean also. If your mind is disturbed, that means something inside your heart that makes it disturbed. So that heart is like the heart of the soul. The soul has a heart, individual. And therefore, King Prataparudra is like this. Now, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he prepared to clean the Gundica Mandir, he asked all of his associates to assist him. Lord Nityananda was there, Advaita Acharya was there. Sisi Gaur Nitai ki jai, Guru Parampara ki jai, Sisi Krishna Balaram ki jai, and the cows ki jai, Sisi Radha, Shama Sundar, Lalita, Visakha Devi ki jai. So, just imagine that Lord Nityananda, who is none other than Lord Balaram, Lord Advaita Acharya Prabhu, there are three Prabhus, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya Prabhu. They are all in the Vishnu Tattva categories. And Swarup Damodar, the personal secretary of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And many others are being engaged. It says there's around 300 to 400 personalities involved in this program. Seems to be very simple. 100 brooms, 100 pots or balte or containers for the water, and everyone is being involved in this kind of engagement, cleansing. So here we can see how, because many are also involved, not just the intimate associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even local farmers, the villagers, some brahmanas, everyone, in every walks of life, they're all engaged in this program of cleansing the temple. So we can see here how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement is present or is available for everyone. There is no such thing as you need a special qualification to engage in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement. No need to be fully educated. You can be uneducated. No need to be rich. You can be poor. You no need to be cultured. You can be uncultured. The more you are disqualified, that is your qualification. And who is qualified in the age of Kali? Practically no one. We're all Sudras. Kalo Sudra Samvava. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is his process. That if one accepts that or understand that I am servant of Lord Krishna, then he can become qualified. So yes, in the process of cleansing this temple, the Gundica, it's like they're all become pure. Even those who are not pure, they became pure in their hearts. They become free from the designations of who am I? I'm not this body. Become free from that. Designations about religion, creed, nationality, or any colors. Unlike right now, only those who are actually belonging to some gotra, you can enter the temple of Jagannath Puri. You can have darshan of Lord Jagannath. But tomorrow, Lord Jagannath gives his darshan. I saw the pictures of the chariots, the Rath. The Rath is considered as the temple. So the Lord, along with his temple, Lord Jagannath, Lord Baladev, and Lady Subhadra, with their temples, 3 temples, they will show themselves. Now, is there any god or is any representatives or any representations of the Supreme Lord who comes out of the temple to give darshan and to give blessings and to give mercy outside? No, you cannot find. Patita Pavana. So here, when they were cleaning They were sweeping and sweeping and sweeping the floors. There are like dust, sand, and stones. Now this represents, later on we will read, this is just like an introduction, because when we reach this far, we will actually hear from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Prabhupada based his purport from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's explanation or purport on this verse. So there are piles and piles of so much dust and gravel and sand that even if you combine all the dust and the gravel and the sand of all the devotees, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu still has a bigger pile. More, much more than each and every individual combined. So while they were doing this, like sweeping and sweeping and sweeping, and then later on also they use, but before they were sweeping and sweeping and sweeping, they communicate with each other, not talking at all, but they were saying only the way how to communicate is saying Krishna. Everybody say Krishna. Krishna. They want another broom, Krishna. One of their pots got broken because there is so much. It says that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's hands is like compared to 100 hands, very swiftly sweeping the floor. Now these brooms are not like golden brooms. They're normal brooms. It's like our workers use here. You know, like bunch of coconut, what do you call it? The center of the coconut. And then they will just have a tied knot. So they will use this. So while taking water from Indra Sarovar, also they will bump with each other. So they will break some of these pots. And therefore, lesser and lesser pots are available. And then the in charge of the mandir, he will call for more and more pots. Now, even old people who are helping Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in cleansing the mandir, sometimes it'll be very difficult for them to lift up. It's too heavy. So he will say to the other person, Krishna. Then he can understood. Oh, he needs help. He needs help to lift up this bucket. And they will use the bucket to the walls, to the ceilings. And don't do that here when you do the cleaning this afternoon. Otherwise, you will spoil our mechanisms here, and they will not be able to see the Lord. So don't do that, okay? This afternoon, we're supposed to gather here to do some marjanam, cleansing. It's like every day we sing, Sivigrahara Dana Nichanana Singaradan Mandira Marjanadho. By worshipping the deities, our hearts get cleansed. By doing puja, our hearts get cleansed. By washing the utensils used by the pujaris, our hearts get cleansed. And it says also, I read one time, that those who clean the paraphernalia used by the pujaris, as if you get more benefit than the pujari who did the puja. That's why I've seen sometimes there's a line, so many devotees, I would like to do that cleaning of the utensils. By sweeping the floor, you cleanse our heart. By cleansing the pots used for cooking, to offer the offerings for the Lord. Prabhupada says that, right? Our hearts is compared to coal. as black as coal, very dirty, full of dirt, full of lust, anger, greed, madness, illusion, and envy. We want position. We want money. We want woman. Not just woman, beautiful woman. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Nadanam, Najanam, Nasundarim, Kavitam Jagat Isakamaye, Mama Janmane Janmanesware, Bhavatad Bhaktir Ahai Duki Twaye. I don't have desire for women or wealth or any followers. My only desire is to serve you birth after birth. So, the very essence of their communication is just by just saying Krishna, Krishna. So every time they say Krishna, what happens to them? They get purified. Because there's no difference between the Lord and His name. The personality Krishna, Nama Chintamani Krishna, Chaitanya Vigraha, Archa Vigraha. Binatmam Namanamino. There is no difference between the Lord and His name. And in His name, He put so much potency, so much energy. Nam Nam Akari Bahudan Nija Sarva Saktis. He gives all the energy in the holy name. So, this communication actually between the devotees who are cleaning the temple, they are all united. They are all in one, you may say, wavelength. So similarly, we should be in that mood. The problem here with our communication is that most of us have ulterior motives. Most of us are having this self-interest. That's why we're not be able to be on the same level of understanding. Even before the other person will say something, we already formulated already what we're gonna say, which is gonna be on the top of the other one. Unlike here in the Marjanam, everyone is in the same page. So, we may have all different motives and selfish desires, so we have to get rid of this if we all understand that I am a servant of Lord Krishna. If we can come to that point that ultimately Krishna, I have to please Krishna, I have to please Srila Prabhupada. I don't have to entertain my material desires in the process. Because if I do, I will create some problems. Not just for myself, but I will create problems towards others. And then bhakti cannot be executed properly. We'll have a hard time. So yes, in this process, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, He united everyone by having the same purpose to please Lord Jagannath. And He even used His top piece, sannyasi, they have top piece. It's meant for begging alms for Krishna. So He used that by cleaning every nook and corner, every inch. Because He wanted to be sure that no dust, single dust will be there because the Lord is coming. So similarly, we should be like that. Our heart actually is a temple of God, temple of Krishna. Even though Krishna is present within everyone's heart. Isvara sarvabhutanam hridese arjuna tishtati. He's present in everyone's heart. And a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord, he sees everyone as part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Vidya vinaya sampane brahmani gavihastini sunichaiva sapakecha Pandita Samadarsina. This is the meaning of a learned person. A learned person doesn't mean he knows Sanskrit or all the 4 Vedas and so on. But if he doesn't see the Paramatma, Super Soul within each and everyone's heart, then he will not treat them equally. He will be biased. He will be even racist. He will say, oh, white, okay, they're supreme. Oh, he has a different color? They're lower. No. Or what? You were born in a Brahmin family, that means you are better than the others who are Sudras or Satriyas or Vaishyas. So, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's purpose is this, to put everybody together, and so that every selfish motives and ulterior motives and self-interest of everyone will be vanquished. Now, in the process of this cleansing of the mandir, sometimes they would actually purposely throw. There is one Gaudiya Vaishnava. He threw the water onto the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then immediately he touched. And then he drank the water. And then he gave to others as like charity. Now Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very upset. This is a temple of the Lord. So he's God himself, but he's playing the role of a devotee. And therefore, to set an example for others, we should not do this. Besides Prabhupada. We can do that. Prabhupada even put his deity while he's still around. No one can do this. Only Prabhupada can do this. So to set an example for us, ordinary jivas, we should not let ourselves to be worshipped or praised in front of the deities. That's why Tulsi Devi also, we will circumambulate the Tulsi Devi when the altars are closed. So, yes, the main problem, the reason why there are so many problems in the world is that we are not following the same will of the Supreme Lord. It says that we should be desireless, but we should only desire what Krishna wants us to do. And since everyone are following Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then ultimately their ego is gone. False ego, ahankar. I was reading one yesterday, one statement. If you have ego, then you cannot take what is the truth. If you have ego, that means you cannot accept what is the truth. And I have one statement on myself. If you have a false ego, everything is false. Nothing will be left because you're in the bodily platform. That's why the whole world, there is a big problem because of ego. Economically, we have a problem. China, they said, they don't want to make them the superpower. So America, they put them down, or there's a war, they're blaming each other. Family-wise also, if there's ego between brothers and brothers, or sisters and sisters, or father and son, there can be a disagreement, and they will not talk with each other for the rest of their life. Only also because of money. And I've seen it. I'm sure you know someone also like that. They will not talk with each other. Or out of ego also in marriage, The wife doesn't want to be subordinate to the husband out of ego, then there'll be fight, and then ultimately there'll be divorce. In India, women are supposed to be subordinate than men. The wife's supposed to be. But I don't know if that is being followed also nowadays. No? If there is a divorce here in India, I'm sure there's going to be a big percentage of divorce. Huh? At least, 50%? No. Maybe 51%. So yes, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us in this episode of his Leela how we can become fulfilled. Fulfillment in life can only be attained if we have love of Krishna. And love of Krishna cannot be obtained if we misidentify with the body as the self. It can only be obtained if we understand we are all servants of the Supreme Lord. Krishna is present within our hearts, and in this way, Krishna will reside within my heart if my heart is cleansed, and therefore I will be able to see Krishna from within as the Super Soul, and eventually I will have darshan of the Supreme Lord face to face. This is the whole process. It's very, very scientific. As Rupa Goswami says in the Nectar of Devotion of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, this process is very scientific. It is a science. There is a process that we have to perform, that we have to see. And therefore, Krishna within our hearts, He'll be happy. It's not that Krishna is sad, but He doesn't want to see us suffering and miserable in this life. One does not need to wait till the end of one's life to be pure. One can be purified even at this very moment. So our foremost duty is to clean our hearts. When we enter into Krishna consciousness, our first duty is to clean our heart. Now, if we remain in our conditioned state, it is not possible to have a clean heart. But the process that we are doing, the sadhana bhakti, especially the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, this is the king of sadhana. As Srila Prabhupada says also, of all the instructions coming from the spiritual master, the utmost, the topmost is to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra without any offenses. And there are 10 offenses that we must follow in order to become free from the offenses while chanting the holy name. And the grievous offense is to minimize or consider the spiritual master as an ordinary man, to disobey his instruction. There's no such thing as, oh, this is very little instruction from the spiritual master, and therefore I can overpass it, or I don't have to do it. Every little details that Guru says is very important, and this is the life and soul of the initiated devotees. I mentioned this again in Bhagavad-Gita class. There are two such things, initiated and disciple. One can be an initiated disciple or an initiated devotee, but not necessarily he's a disciple. Disciple means discipline. You may be initiated, but if you're not disciplined in your everyday life, your practice of Krishna consciousness, then you're initiated, but you're not disciple. That's another thing. So yes, when we see Krishna within our hearts, that means we can also see Krishna everywhere. And when we can see Krishna everywhere, then we can see His presence right there. His very presence is very clear to that devotee. So the chanting of the Hare Krishnamaha mantra, Cheto darpanamarjanam bhavamahadavagni nirvapanam Shreyakairava vitaranam vijabajo jibhanam Anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnam ritaspadanam Sarvatmasnaparam vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not leave any books. He did not write any books. He gave that instructions for the Sad Goswamis to write the books. But he left us 8 instructions, the 6 Shastakam, and the number 1 is this. Our heart is like, it needs to be cleansed. It's like a mirror full of dust. Or in the Bhagavad-Gita also, the more one is covered up, then the more one cannot see himself. It's like, it is compared to a mirror full of dust or smoke covering the fire, or the womb. The child is being covered by the embryo. The degrees, mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So most of us are in the modes of Rajasic and Tamasic. Most of us are still in the modes of ignorance and passion. As Prabhupada says, at least try to come into the mode of goodness. Because in the mode of goodness, it's easier to understand the process of Krishna consciousness. And chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra not just necessarily cleanse our hearts, but ultimately it will give us Krishna praying. And that is our goal. We should not lose sight of that. For everything that we do or we perform, we should not lose sight that our goal is Krishna Prema. This is what we call Vaikuntha vision. And this can be easily attained, especially in chanting, in the association of the devotees, through Bhakta Sangam. In the beginning, we need the association of devotees, and when you become liberated and you attain love of God, just like the 6 Goswamis, they still associate with each other. It is not that at the time of liberation or attaining Krishna Prema, you give up your guru. Prabhupada gave an example, just like he was in Mayapur, and there was an embankment. So they're supposed to go up. So one of the disciples, he went up first before Prabhupada, and he offered his hand to Prabhupada. So Prabhupada took his hand, and Prabhupada easily be able to go to that embankment. And then immediately Prabhupada whisked away the hand of that disciple. Prabhupada is saying that we should not be like this, Mayavadi. Mayavadi, followers of this Mayavad philosophy that everything is Maya or everything is ignorance. Yes, they follow Guru in the beginning, but then ultimately, when they think that they reach the platform of mukti, and they will also offer each others Namo Narayana. I am Narayana, you are Narayana also. So Namo Narayana. But then they will give up their guru. There is no such thing as giving up the association of devotees or serving our guru. Even in the liberated platform, we will still serve our Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. Some devotees, they were saying that, Prabhupada, I wanted to follow you in your footsteps. But then he says, oh, it'll be very difficult because I walk very fast. But then other devotees also says, Prabhupada, I want to serve you birth after birth. That is fine. That is fine. And usually when a Prabhupada's disciple would leave his body, some of his god brothers or her god brothers and god sisters, they would say, oh, now he is with Prabhupada. He is serving Prabhupada somewhere. So our connection with Krishna is through our Guru, through Srila Prabhupada, and there will never come a time that we will be separated. There will never come a time that we will be greater than our Guru Maharaj or Srila Prabhupada. But this is what Guru and Srila Prabhupada wanted to see, that we become more advanced than them by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, in conclusion, I don't think we'll be able to read this, but you should read it on your own. I just put it there, but I just summarize whatever is in the purport because it's quite a lengthy purport. We don't have time to read all of those, but I summarize to you right from the very beginning when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked permission until it reached to this text. I think it started like 75, verse 75 of the 12th chapter of Madhya Lila. And this is the end, I mean, not the end, but this is where it stopped, the Marjanam, Gundica Marjanam Lila. So, yes, the broom is humility. You need the broom. You need humility in order to chant, in order to cleanse. The water is compared to the chanting of Hare Krishnamaha mantra. So in order to finalize the cleansing, first we need humility and then the chanting. If you are not humble, you cannot chant properly. And the more you chant, the more you become humble. There's no end to becoming humble in Krishna consciousness. The more one is advanced, the more one is humble. Prabhupada, sometimes he would call his disciples Prabhu. Have you had that experience, Sutakirti Prabhu? Not you. Then we may think, oh, I'm a Prabhu. My Guru Maharaj. No, we're always das. We're always servant. It's a very nice pastimes. We don't have enough time, but we could have explained it more. So we should keep this in mind, that the cleansing of our heart is our first duty. Try to give up our material desires. Then we can make advancement in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. We'll stop here. Are there any points or comments? Is there a Bhakta mic here? There you go. Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Maharaj, for this enlightening information about Bhagavad-Gita and the mode that we should observe while cleaning anything related to Krishna, be this paraphernalia of the temple. I've got several three questions for you, and the first would be very recently I was reading Chaitanya Bhagavad, and I observed in various pastimes that the devotees or associates with the Lord I've had with Lord Chaitanya, it is very strange to see that they were always in full ecstasy and crying while embracing each other, ordering Mahaprasad.
Yes.
They could feel the presence of Krishna consciousness. But in our case, we've been honoring and enjoying the facilities in Krishna consciousness for so long, but this mood doesn't pop up. Why does that happen?
Because of the anarthas, again, they are still there. But as we've learned from here, if we all understand that we're all servants of the Supreme Lord, then you'll be able to give importance. You'll be able to realize how each and every one is actually very significant. Because the more you make advancement, the more you see that others are actually very, very advanced than you, more advanced than you. You don't see others as lesser than you.
Maharaj, the next question is, we say that chanting Hare Krishna Maha can give us Krishna prema.
Yes.
But we also see that there are offenses attached to the chanting of the holy name.
Right.
And if we see in general, someone who gets offended will not be able to give you that love. So how is it that chanting Hare Krishna Maha would eventually give us Krishna prema?
Well, ultimately, a devotee can give you Krishna Prem. The one who has love for Krishna is the only one. By his mercy, you will attain love of God. On your own endeavor, it is not possible. We gave that class the other day, right? Mat Seva Dwar. By serving the Vaishnavas, you will get the doorways going to Lord Hari open. So yes, on our own endeavor, it doesn't matter what kind of austerity, sacrifice, or anything that you do, strict sadhana, no, it is only by the mercy of Guru, pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. You'll get his mercy, the Lord's mercy. Right. Yeah.
And after wondering it as reminiscent.
He was kicked out.
Everyone, yes.
He was kicked out.
By Advaita Acharya.
Yeah, you know, his neck. He picked it up from his neck and pushed him outside.
No, my question is, the Lord himself, being his devotee incarnation, is trying to create a foundation of principle.
Yeah.
And it's not the way we should not behave like that.
Right. We should not follow in that way. It's not proper.
But then we observe while celebrating Vyasa Puja, we are...
Speak.
But we observe that while celebrating the occasion of Vyasa Puja, we're doing Charanabhishek or spiritual master in front of the deities at times. So, if you could throw some light
because you are actually, the Lord is happy, you are worshiping Him, the pure devotee. So once a year we do that, but we should not do it every day. That is an offense already. Once a year in our society, there's a given mandate that Guru can be worshipped even inside the temple on his Vyasa Puja day. Only in our movement that we celebrate the Guru, celebrating Guru's appearance day and that Titi. But the Gaudiya Math, they will do it in Guru Purnima. Guru Purnima. That means the appearance day of Sanatan Goswami, which is happening on the 24th of this month. He's the Guru of all the Brajabasis. And therefore, in Gaudiya Math, there's only one Vyasa Puja, which is on that day. Not that, in ISKCON, many times. So it's okay, it's allowed, but only once in a year. Any other points? Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for wonderful class. Maharaj, as you said that for cleansing our heart, we need to chanting
Yes.
So my question is that I'm practicing Krishna consciousness. Okay. So how I can understand that usually my mental desire is removing and I'm improving in Krishna consciousness, because sometimes I have seen that I have some sense gratification. Okay. Like, so how can I understand that my mental desire is
Decreasing. Well, you can tell if you are, when you, in your daily activities, that you are joyful, you're happy, that your joy, your happiness is increasing. Because material desires means miseries and sufferings. So it overruns or overcome. The more you practice sincerely, then the more your material desires decreases, and then the more you become happily executing bhakti. This is ahaituki apratihata. This is joyfully performed. It's causeless and is joyfully performed. It's continuous and is joyfully performed. So every day you can tell. Or I've read also, if you want to see if you are making advancement, you should read Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Madhurya Kadambini. You read that book. I have not read the full book, parts of it. Yeah, if you read that book, it says that you will see where you are at. Okay? Anything else? Okay, 2 more questions.
Hare Krishna, Jagad Pranam Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, how we should overcome the problem of false ego in our daily life?
How can you overcome false ego? Well, you serve Vaishnavas. Your false ego will go away because you will imbibe the same consciousness and mentality that they have. Just like Narad Muni, when he was a child, he was serving the Bhakti Vedantas. Asked for their remnants, and they being served by Narad Muni. Because Narad Muni is simple. You have to be simple also. Don't be complicated. Okay? Last question. Dandavat Pranam.
Maharaj, you spoke about the fact that the more humble we become, the more we can chant. And the more we chant, the humbler we become. So which comes first? Whether we first become humble or whether we first chant and then become?
If you are not humble in the beginning, start chanting. You will become humble. But then to continuously be able to chant, you have to remain humble. Right? Because if you become proud, your chanting will go down. So the way how you can tell that you are actually relishing the chanting is that you become more and more humble. Okay. Once you have like taste for chanting is not there, that means humility is going in the drain, going somewhere. Okay? So in the beginning, we're not humble. Are you humble in the beginning? Most of us, we don't. But we said, okay, I have to follow what Srila Prabhupada says. I have to follow what Bhagavad-Gita says. I have to follow what Sadhu says. And that following itself is an act of humility. Okay? Hare Krishna.